Hey coding bots. So basically in today's GFG POTD we have a problem majority element second, and it is basically a medium level problem. And but the thing is that this question is easy. Like according to this question, this is asking that you are given an array of integer r where each element represents a vote to a candidate. Return the candidate that have votes greater than one third of the total votes. If there is not a majority vote, return an empty array. Here notice given the answer should be returned in increasing format. Okay, so actually notice given. So basically in the given problem here we have a array with having some elements. Okay, and here we have to return the major elements. Like for example, here inside the example 1, here we have an array with the elements are like 2 1 5 5 5 5 6 6 6 6 6. So here we have to follow this condition that it must be greater than one third. Okay, and talking about one third, so there is only two element is found which is following this condition as which is greater than more than one third, which is like 5 and 6. So here you return only 5 and 6. Okay, which is returned which is more than n by 3 times. Okay, where n is the size of an array. Okay, similarly if I'm talking about the second example here, so here we have 1 2 3 4 5, which is only distinct element, it is not having more than that. So here to return false. That means this no candidates occurs more than floor 5 by 3 times. Okay, so here constant is given, and here we need to solve this problem with an expected time complexity of order of n and expected auxiliary space of order of 1. Here this question is like asked in multiple companies like Bloomberg, Salesforce, Accenture, Microsoft, TCS and Google. Okay, and here this is like completely based on arrays, data structures, algorithms and hash. Okay, so by the questions, let's try to solve this problem here. So first of all, as it is also given the hint that we have to use here hash map. Okay, for counting the total frequencies, because here we have to return the majority element. Okay, and for finding majority element we are going to take the help of map. Okay, so here I am going to declare unordered map. Okay, inside that here I have to define as int, which basically counts the value. Okay, and this second int counts the frequencies of the value, and let's say I'm declaring my map name as MP. Okay, then after that what I have to do, I need to traverse inside the array and check which of the element is like majority element. So for that, first of all we have to count the frequency, and for counting the frequency we have to write the code. Okay, so here I'm going to write the code for counting the frequencies. So here I'm saying that for int I, which is basically traversing inside the array. Okay, and while traversing I need to count the frequencies of the given first number. Okay, the given numbers, and we need to find the frequencies for each number. Okay, so here what we will do, here we have a map mp of I and then plus plus. Now after performing this code we actually getting the total number of frequencies for each element. Okay, now we get frequencies of each input number. Okay, now once we getting the frequencies, now we need to perform the second condition, which is here it is written that return the candidate that have more votes, which is like must be greater than one third of the total votes. Total votes means the total size of an array. If there is not a majority vote, return an empty array. Okay, so if there is no any majority element, we have to return an empty array. And here note is also giving that it must be written in the increasing format. So now what we have to do, here we have to, for again we have to like I think traverse and inside the map. Now this time we have to traverse inside the map and check which of the elements is like having more than one third total votes. Okay, those if we actually getting those elements, we have to simply store it inside the vector. Okay, which is our answer vector. So first of all we have to define, let's say, vector of int, which we have to define anything. Let's say it may be like answer or like majority element. So I am going to define our majority element, which is as measure. Okay, now I need to traverse for maps. Okay, so I'm saying that auto I, which is basically traversing inside the map. So here in this time I need to traverse inside map, and I'm going to check if I dot second, that means I'm counting the frequencies. I'm like focusing on the frequencies which is having the most frequency, that means I dot second. If it is like greater than array dot size, okay, array dot size by 3, that means this condition, if this satisfying these conditions, we need to store the first value, that means we need to store first value inside our final vector. So here we can say that measure dot pushback, and here we have to store the real element, the input element, okay, which is having the higher frequencies which follow this condition, which is like greater than 1/3. So for that, here what we have to do, here we have to simply store measure.pushback, here to store our first value, okay. Now if I'm doing these things, now we have like stored all those values inside the vector, which is our final vector, and inside the final vector we have like stored our majority element. Now we can simply return our majority element, okay, which is major here. Okay, let's try to compile and run. So yeah, here compilation is completed and it's executed well. Let's try to submit it. Okay, so I'm getting a wrong answer because possibly your code does not work correctly in multiple test cases. Okay, so basically this is like satisfying all those conditions, but here one note is given. If you see here, like it is written that the answers should be written in an increasing format. That means here we have to sort it also. Here whatever the majority elements we actually getting, maybe it is in the unordered way, so we have to like first of all sort it. So here sort measure dot begin and measure dot end. Okay, so if I'm going to perform this inbuilt sort method, we are going to sort this input value, and then after it we are actually taking as an output. Let's try to compile and run again. Yeah, again its compilation is completed. Let's try to submit it. So it's submitted. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching.